Welcome back, fight fans. This is the DAZN Boxing Show. I go by the name of Bach.
And I'm Barack, the Boxing Bully.
Hope everybody had a phenomenal weekend. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get into some boxing. So many things I want to get off my chest. The DAZN X Series, Rolando Romero. Oh, we're about to get into it right now in the opening bell. All right, Barack. I want to start it off with the DAZN X Series talk, and I want to talk Salt Papi. Everybody was high off of him. His boxing stance was good. He scored a few big knockouts. He was a heavy favorite against Anthony Taylor. Anthony Taylor was in shape. He was relentless, and he was too much for Salt Papi. What was your take on that victory?
Anthony Taylor is somebody who is very seasoned in the fight game. Not really a great fighter, but very seasoned. And that experience, it just played a real part. Like I wasn't surprised. Right. Salt Papi losing. Mm-hmm. I just didn't want him to lose. You know, you want a guy like that to keep winning.
He was a favorite based on Anthony Taylor's last performance and the momentum that Salt Papi has had recently. He was a favorite. Maybe that word heavy shouldn't have been thrown out there.
Yeah.
But definitely was a favorite going into that fight. And I do agree with you. People don't consider the experience in the fight game. And even though Salt Papi didn't have a lot of experience in fights, he had so many hundreds and hundreds of rounds of sparring, which he considered as experience in the fight game. But for all of those factors, people felt like Salt Papi would be the winner. But credit to Anthony Taylor for that big win.
Yeah, I mean, this is a totally different world. We separate the DAZN X Series from boxing. This is a totally different world. Anthony Taylor was somewhat more familiar with that world of boxing and MMA. He knew how to smother him. He knew how to frustrate him, you know. And even in boxing, you get a fighter like a Marcos Maidana, somebody who frustrates fighters. He frustrated Floyd. You know, you get to really throw them off, and that's what he did. It wasn't really boxing skill. It was like, I know how to frustrate you. I'm gonna take away your timing. I'm gonna take away your speed and win this fight. And congrats to Anthony Taylor.
No doubt. And listen, congrats to JJ, KSI. But one of the things I want to touch on, Rock, outside of look, we all know what happened against Fournier, right? And I understand that.
I don't know. Maybe the fans is listening to us for the first time. Maybe they didn't see it.
Maybe. So let's make this clear. Look, he scores a second round knockout against Joe Fournier when the replay was shown. He knocked him out with an elbow, with a right elbow. It was clear. There was no controversy, right? See, controversy, I understand why people use the words controversy, but this was a clear foul punch, right?
Yes.
Not that it was intentional, but what I was a little frustrated with was throughout the night, it seemed like people didn't want to say it. It's like whether it was media members, people on the broadcast, I don't understand why we were shying away from it, like hiding away from the obvious. Now, during the real time interaction or punch, I get it. It's high speed. You can't really catch it. But once you watch the tape, once you watch the replay, it was obvious that it was an elbow that knocked him out. And I know JJ, after watching it, KSI, he can't feel good about it. Like he feels like the win is tarnished. If I'm not mistaken, he's not happy about it. But initially, people were scared to say it. No, it was the elbow. It wasn't that he was dazed from the first slap roundhouse shot. He went down, but he got right back up. I mean, sorry, he didn't go down. He just backed up a little bit, but he wasn't hurt to the point where he was ready to go down and be knocked out, Barack. So can we just clearly just say he scored the knockout with an knockout with an elbow?
100%. I mean, that's where the word controversy comes in. It comes in the ruling being scored a knockout. So that's the controversy. Like, why is this not being stopped? I wouldn't say disqualification because I seen Jake Paul tweeted about it. He said either it'd be a no contest or a disqualification. Not a disqualification because you can see it's obviously wasn't, intentional, and this happens in boxing, and it's hard. Like you said, in real time, I'm not going to blame the referee at all, because I seen Holyfield slip a couple of elbows in, against Michael Moore. A lot of fighters sometimes hit with the elbow, and you could see that he was trying to punch him, but Fournier leaned in, boom, got hit with the elbow.
This is where instant replay needs to play a part.
That 100%. All we had to do was go back to instant replay, and we could have said, okay, this was an accidental foul, technical decision, no victory by knockout. Either that or definitely that. But now we're going to have to see a rematch if Fournier even wants a rematch. That's a horrible job. It wasn't something intentional, so I can't even blame KSI. I just got to blame boxing. This is what happens. And even in Misfits boxing, even in the DAZN X series, we have stuff like this where obviously we got to go to the tape. We got to do like football. We got to go back to the tape and see what happened so we can have a proper ruling, because this just looks bad.
And even though this is the DAZN X series, look, this is professional prize fighting, and we need to use this, as an example why we need replay in every fight. At least every prize fight. Every championship fight. I guess
you can't. You didn't know what to say with this.
No. What I'm saying
prize
is that
fight, championship fight.
What I'm saying is that I know people will say, replay on every single boxing fight that exists. It seems like extreme when you have 4-round fights with fighters just building up their record, prospects building up their record. Do we need instant replay for everything? Maybe we do, Barack.
Maybe we do.
Yeah, maybe we do.
We'll get used to it. Maybe we do, because we're gonna have instances like this. This was a clear elbow,
and it's unfortunate for Joe Fournier. Look, first off, credit to KSI. He looked like he was in shape first round, bouncing around on his feet. The guy is taking boxing serious, and it's sad that he couldn't get a clear victory, because there's always going to be obviously askers to this fight. Hopefully they have a rematch. All right, Barack, let's move on to the Showtime boxing event with Rolando Romero, and his controversial victory.
More controversy.
I don't know if I've ever seen this type of refereeing job. Now, Tony Weeks is a guy that I respected. He's a guy that has been in over 800, has reffed over 800 boxing matches, is very experienced, so many championship fights. This Rolando Romero fighting at 140 for the first time for the WBA junior welterweight or super lightweight, but it's not the super WBA world title. It's the WBA title. So honestly, it's confusing, and I'm being frank here. I don't know whether it's the official one. It's not the super one. If they got rid of the super one, we don't know. I'll actually hit my man up, Gilberto Mendoza, and ask him myself, Barack, what title was that? But the story of the night was, even leading up to the fight, Barack, all social media were making memes about Rolando Romero's opponent and his, Barroso, how old he looked. There were grandfather memes. There were memes about, this guy is 60 years old. He did have an old look to him, but he was 40 years old. So he was older, a lot older than Romero, and nobody was giving him a shot. He scored a knockdown. He was winning the fight on all the judges' scorecards and on everybody else's scorecard. Everybody that was actually watching the fight with two eyes had him winning the fight.
Right.
So for him to be knocked down / pushed down, Barack, and then back up and engaging in combat while he was being stopped, though he was on the corner, there's no excuse. And you're a guy that is very lenient on referees. Understandably so. It's a hard job. But there is absolutely no excuse at all that you or anybody can say to me as to why Tony Weeks stopped that fight.
100%. Listen, I wouldn't say lenient on referees. I just understand their job is a very, very tough job, and I'm just not quick to throw criticism. But in this particular case, I feel it brings back this feeling that I've had earlier in life, and it's that the referee has too much power. As soon as the referee gives a ruling, that's it. It almost feels like nobody in the world can dispute it. We've seen stuff like this. We've seen, stuff like this even worse.
I gotta give you a round of applause for that. The referee has too much power. Damn, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, I've been thinking this for a while, that the referee just has too much power, and we hardly ever see something overturned. It needs to go to a board. It needs to go to the commission. This right here was ridiculous. The only thing that was strange about this, first of all, Rolando was missing every single punch at the time of the stoppage. And the only one that was landing punches was Ismael Barroso. He was landing the punches during that time. It looked like the aggressor, obviously, was Rolando Romero, but he was missing. He wasn't landing nothing significant. The only strange thing about this whole thing is that right when Tony Weeks jumped in and stopped the fight, there was no argument from Barroso immediately. It was almost like he just shook his head like, what? Maybe he was used to it. I have no idea. But he never appeared hurt. He was fatigued, maybe. He was tired, but he never appeared hurt. It was horrible. Everybody on the broadcast thought it was horrible. People in the crowd, if you were a Rolly fan, I saw you on your feet cheering for him. But in real time, when you're in the crowd, you can't really see that. We had that good advantage because of the TV. We see the cameras. We get to see that he was missing every shot. And once again, we can't blame the fighters. In this particular case, you can only blame the referee, Tony Weeks. Now, even Tony Weeks, you can't blame him in the moment because, hey, you're like, okay, maybe it looks like those punches were landing. I don't know how. He's the closest one to it. I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I'm not.
But afterwards, when you just refuse to talk to the media, when you refuse to talk to the broadcast, I think referees should be I think they should be forced to at least talk during the broadcast. That's it. Don't talk to the media. Fine. Don't talk to the media afterwards. But at least talk to the broadcast like refs used to do, and say something.
You can't hide behind that wall, that red tape about refs don't talk to media or refs don't do interviews. No, tear that down, right? You have to address and be accountable for what you just did. You mean to tell me you have in your hands, you have the power to arguably these young fighters' careers, their future, in some cases, because one fight could change the trajectory of your career. So how can you give one man that much power? Credit to you for bringing that up. Maybe we need to campaign with that because this particular fight there should be some sort of backlash, some investigation, because one of the things that people are saying out there is, hey, they saved Rolly, right? Now there were funny memes allegedly that he got a call, or he got a look, or somebody said, hey, this guy needs to win this fight. I
thought I saw something too. I thought I saw something a little strange in the crowd.
A little strange?
Yeah, but I thought maybe that person was telling Rolly to get on him, jump on him. Right. But it could look like they was telling the ref to get in and jump in there.
These are all alleged accusations as to why Tony Weeks did what he did. But that doesn't erase the fact that he actually stopped the fight when the fighter was clearly not getting hit from a man that wasn't supposed to win the fight, wasn't supposed to beat the young fighter, and obviously was winning the fight. And all of a sudden, you use whatever you can and just steal the fight away from him. I'm going to say it the way I feel it, the way I see it. Steal the fight away from this 40-year-old man that obviously went in there in shape to win this fight. And Rolly, in a lot of the post-fight interviews, he was saying how, this guy hits hard, or he hits harder than Tank, or of course I was being patient, because it was also addressed that he wasn't active. He wasn't throwing a lot of punches throughout the fight. Kind of worried. So he clearly said that this guy hits hard. There's no way I didn't want to take risk in there. I didn't want to get hit by this guy. It was kind of odd, Barack, when he's the same guy that wants to fight Errol Spence Jr.
I actually want to give Rolly a little bit of credit. I can't blame him for that. He had patience. He's not that skillful. So, it took him a little bit longer to try and get to him, and he still never really got to him. And that just goes to show that power doesn't win fights all the time. You got to have skill. You have to know how to get in there and use your power. But this fight reminded me of Maidana versus, who is that? Maidana versus Adrian Broner. Exactly. Thank you. Where, Maidana was overpowering Broner, but Broner showed so much heart, even after getting knocked down, still trying to push Maidana back. And I think that's what Rolly did. After getting knocked down, I believe this third round, came back and won the next round. He won the fourth round. He was pushing Ismael back, but he's just not a skillful, experienced fighter. So it was just a little bit harder for him. He couldn't land those big shots.
Another thing I want to give Rolly credit for is that he did say at the end that he should have let him go on.
That was
when he asked him. So, and that's rare when a fighter stops another fighter, regardless if it's controversial or not. The fighters always say, yeah, he was hurt. Yeah, the ref did the right job. Even Rolly himself said he's a warrior. The ref should have let him continue. And he's saying that because he know he wasn't landing any shots. But listen,
we need to see a rematch. If they're not going to overturn this, if they're not going to go to the commission and get together with the sanctioning bodies also, let's speak to Mendoza. Let's have Mendoza on the show also and say, come on, this was clear. This was a clearly bad stoppage. I don't agree with what the internet is saying. The internet is saying that Tony Weeks need to be suspended because we don't know if this was something that was dirty or if he was dirty. Yes, get the hell out of boxing.
Something needs to happen, though, Barack. I don't know about him being suspended. An investigation needs to happen.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Without an investigation, nothing needs to happen yet.
And he needs to address it. All right.
Right.
Look, we went in, a lot to talk about. That's our show for today. Peace and love. Stay safe. We're out of here.
Introducing the new DAZN Boxing Show podcast. No matter the time or the place, getting your boxing content has become easier than ever. Tune in as we give you exclusive insights, predictions, fight night recaps, and more alongside the biggest names in the game, all for free. Available globally every Thursday across all audio streaming platforms and with new episodes dropping weekly to give you the latest news. Just type in the DAZN Boxing Show podcast, listen in, and enjoy.